Chada, chada, chada. Chada to the left. Chada to the right. Chada to the left. Chada to the front. Chada to the back. Tumeshika. Sawa, tuanze sasa. Jog where you are. Fanya kidogo, mazoezi kidogo. Alafu amsa kimo leo. Weka mikono hapa. Chada. You go with my speed. Chada. Chada. Chada to the left. Chada to the right. Chada to the left. Chada to the left. Chada to the front. Chada to the back. Chada.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sio tumekuwa sawa. Mungu si ameteremka. Alafu mifupa imeenda namna hii. Alafu soda imechangamsha imemix na sasa uko sawa. I want to invite our speaker hapa. Mheshimiwa one and only Atato. Atatango. Ekioge. Kego tieni kioge kende. Yama nyakurua Atato yengenjo. Na bwa Atatango twabona kama rose. Karolita toligo chanita mandigo kogwera para meragie. Kogera akigia koreta sai. Lia kabere kila kuate atayo yo minonere mokonye. Yo moelio kaka nanje kwa beka online. Ekara nanje kwa ninde amanganane.
Thank you. Can we appreciate Dennis with one bike? Huh? Remember the way we're doing the bikes like this. We can do a bigger bike like this and then. Now, what we want to do this afternoon, we want to be very quick. I understand people also want to walk around. So I want to spend, who's my timekeeper, where are you? I want to do this in the minute, I think at most 8 minutes. And then the next one, I think 5, 8. We just give you a hint, and then from there, because of time, and then we have Bosire, we have Isabel, we have Bosire, and then there's Rogers, and then from there we have a forum where people can be able to talk and ask questions, and then people can be able to walk around, and they can be able to network. Now, I'm supposed to talk about personal branding and imaging. I remember in my village, kuna mwalimu aliibiwa ng'ombe. I don't want to say his name. Unaweza pata kuna watu wengine wa relatives. Aliibiwa ng'ombe, and I remember they went to those sides of Nyakungu. Okay, aliibiwa kutoka kwetu, so they had to ile kutafuta ng'ombe mahali zimepelekwa. And then when they went, askari walikuwa na shughuli zingine. Sasa by the time they are stepping out, wanawapata wako hapo nje. Unajua kuna vile kitambo askari hata chief anachapa tu mtu. So walitoka wakawapata hapo nje. Kapatia mwalimu mbili za mgongo, wewe unasumbua watu, nipia watu ng'ombe. Na kumbe wale wanapiga si mwizi. Mwizi amekaa smart, mwalimu ndiye anatuangwa. Unajua kuna vile mwalimu amekaa, the way he's dressed and the way mwizi amekaa. So mwalimu alikula mbili, anaambia sio mimi mwizi ndio huyu. So they were wondering, okay, mwizi anakaa amejibrand vizuri, anakaa sio. But have you ever known that even here in Nairobi, ukienda end of the 5-star hotel, kitu mwendo wa 10, 11, mtu ameng'ara kuna simu nyingi, huyo ni mwizi. Wewe siku wako tu hivyo. Wewe tu ingia tu 68, one of those big hotels, not 68, what we call this, go to New Standard. Mtu mwenye ako hapo 11 ama ako hapo 10, anaongea mambo mingi. Anakuambia vile ako na connections kwa ministry fulani, ako na nini, hapo utadanganywa tu. Sometimes because the way people, there is always something we said that people buy you before they buy what you're selling. Na kuangalia wewe mwenyewe, and then that is why some places ukienda, I'm very sure anyone who has gone to buy utensils from Kamukunji ukienda kununua vitu huko zinaweza enda. Haya uchumi haisha wafikisha hapo. When you want to get these utensils, kuna watu wengi and whatever people go to Kamukunji. Lakini if you go there, you're not very keen. Ukidress tu kama mtu anaonekana wewe umetoka where you come from, they know you see where to, and they know to run away with your things. So what am I talking about this afternoon? I want us to talk about how you present yourself. What is your message? How do you package it? Who is your audience? Who is your customer? I may not be able to touch on so many things, but I will be able to just give you a few hints. Somebody says the only brand that you can sustain is the one that is authentic to you. Because they've spoken many things. That by focusing entirely on your personal brand, you become unemployable. Sometimes when you've understood what exactly you want to do and how you want to do it, sometimes it might be very hard for people to find how they can be able to pay you or they can be able to employ you. A personal brand is your story that communicates the talents, the values you represent to customers, colleagues, and other professionals. Let me just do it another way. It exists not only in your online presence, but also in the offline. Let me say this in a quick, even as I'm doing the definition of this. When we talk about personal branding, it's about who are you? Number one, can you be able to summarize who are you? In a sentence, there's something we used to call in production, synopsis. Can you be able to summarize who are you? Because sometimes, for you to brand yourself very well, you should be able to understand who am I, and then the moment you've understood who you are, then you are able to know what am I good at? What am I good at? What is my line? It's good to have many stories, but what is your line? And then at this time, you also need to understand who are my customers. In this case, customers, it will depend. Some of you, your customers, probably are the online followers. Probably some of you, your customers, the people who read your books or read your articles. Some of you, your customers, the people who watch your stories. Some of you, your customers. Now, it will depend what are you doing and who are your customers. So who are your customers? It can be your customers, it can be your colleagues, it can be the other professionals. But I want us to understand that when you talk about personal branding, number one, you must understand who are you. It's very important for you to understand who am I? How can you be able to describe yourself in one sentence? And then number two, and then once you have understood who you are, then what are you passionate about? And that is when people brand themselves, you decide what you want to focus on. What kind of content do you want to focus on? And I want just to address this depending on, as in looking at it from, I understand we're in the media, but also we're in the media but doing different things. The other day, I was attending another session and Carol Mutuku was saying, she left radio after being on radio for 14 years. She left, but she left with all the clients. She left with all the clients. And of course, she does a lot of very expensive adverts on her social media pages. Very expensive. And now, one of the things that she was challenging us, she was saying, it's number one, you understand who am I, and then what is my content? What is my content? Because where we've reached, some people, they are coming because of you. The other day, we were doing some adverts for Shamba. Do not advertise, but somebody comes. So, Robbie, your Shamba, are you sure? Because there's one we've been advertising in Birika. Why? Because they are coming to you. Anakuuliza, are you sure? Ukimwambia ni sawa, anakuambia sawa. Kwa sababu umesema, I'm going to do that. So what are we talking about here? We are talking about, number one, who are you? And then what are you selling? You should be able to understand also. I understand Nani is coming to talk about the digital and whatever, but it's also good for you to understand what are you selling. And then whom are you selling to? Who reads your stories? Who watches your TV? Who listens to your program? And I like nowadays, you're able to identify. Because the moment you understand what wanakuja soko yangu ni hawa, unawapea. You should be able to understand. Nowadays, I like with the social media, TikTok can be able to tell you ni akina nani wanakusikiza. Like me, when I look at all my content, wanaume ndio wanakuanga almost 80%. Ladies wanakuanga lakini ni wachache. And then I'm able to tell from which year to what. Nikifanya Kimanyimogo Soro, I find mature ladies who are between around 26 to around 40 something. When I'm doing Atato Yengenjo, I find the younger people. So you should be able to understand who watches, who reads, who does what. So you can be able to. Let me just mention a few things because remind me, 7 minutes I will stop. How to create marketable personal brand. Number one, figure out who you are, what drives you. What drives you. Consider how you want to be known. That is why we were discussing when we were taking lunch that there's so many stories which we've not covered from Gusii. And if people can be able to focus, me stories zangu ni easy. Stories za huyu ni hizi, stories za nani ni hizi, and such. I like the way Kaka Sungura alianza tu mahali kuna kuangana shida anaenda anaweka. And then already followers wamekuja wanamfuata. So can you be able to define who watches your content? Who is that? Do you know the person who watches your content? Or maybe whom are you packaging yourself for? You know, I do MC a lot of weddings, and I've come to discover sometimes kuna weddings zingine siendi. Na si kwa ubaya. There's some functions I don't go, si kwa ubaya. Because nitakuwa na shida tu bure. So there's a way you package yourself. You say, I will not go because of some other reason. So you should be able to understand who is your. Because I'm wondering, somebody hata ana chakula ya kulisha watu. As in hata wanang'ang'ana na budget. And then he's asking me to leave Nairobi to go all the way to Gusii. So I advise, as my friend, this is the amount of money I will ask you. This one, I think, get somebody from the village, somebody around you. Not from the village, but somebody around you, because you may not be able to. So you should be able to understand who, consider how you want to be known, and then define your niche. Define who is your audience. That is very critical. When you're branding yourself, when you're dressing. So like I remember when I left college, when I was in college, I was called for an interview in an international organization, and they called me for a tea break interview. And it was an international organization. They were based here in Nairobi. And I discovered it was just an interview for only 30 minutes. You're taking tea and njugu, and then that is an interview. Waniambia, make sure you're here by 9:35. 10, tunaingia kwa boardroom, tunakunywa chai, and then in 30 minutes we are done. I didn't know that was an interview. They wanted to see mtu anakaa namna gani. I remember the first ever assignment we left. I think that is when I was almost finishing. I remember we were sent to Eldoret. And then I think I was the only Kenyan. And then there was a Zimbabwean who was an African. And then the rest were not, they were Zungus. And then that was the first time nilipeleka kwa Chinese restaurant. Naona vile wanakuwa na chopsticks. My friend, nilienda kununua yogurt usiku. So vitu nilijaribu kuweka hivi. Nikajaribu. Unajua wanaweka hizo vitu, and then kuna spices and what. I remember tulikuwa Siriko Hotel. And then tukimaliza nikasema, let me go for my yogurt. But one thing I understood it was, they wanted to show me that this is the kind of client, this is the kind of places we go. But I'm glad that when they gave me a job, they had to do some what we call the etiquette. Kuna fundishwa, hii inakuanga ni ya rice, hii inakuanga ya nini, hii inakuanga ya nini. So that is the kind of clientele that I'll be facing. So it's very important also for you to understand who is your clientele. And then there is what we call, once you've understood who is your clientele, then it's very important for you, even when you're doing your branding, you're doing whatever that you're doing, consistency. Me, I always say this, the platforms that you have, whether you are a teacher, whether you are writing, or you are doing broadcasting and whatever, sometimes, ninaingia onea, ninajimalizia hapo. I speak, naongea kama niko na watu wengi. Why? I never know who is listening to me. Sometimes I'm invited to MC some of these events, and then wamelipa pesa kidogo, but I'm not focusing on them. I'm focusing on the many connections I'll be able to get. Let me just say this, that when you're doing whatever that you're doing, you've chosen, you want to tell this kind of stories. You want to do this kind of writing. This is the kind of whatever we are doing. Make sure that you are consistent. I always say, this is like, hiyo inakuanga kama ni duka yako. So waja kesho wakupate. And those of us who are doing content creation and whatever, kuna siku nyingine unaamka unanga content. And there's one day unaamka uko na content. I'm very sure when those of you write, I think there's what we call the blocking out. It's something they call when you want to write and then you feel like you don't have any point you need to write. There is some days you wake up and you are flowing. When you're flowing, make sure that you write a lot. Because there's a day you will not be able to have anything to write. So make sure that people can be able to keep on finding your content. So that when people know duka ya fulani inafunguliwa, kuna watu wanaangalia duka hata even if they are not coming in there, but they know inafunguliwanga saa 2. Even if they are not coming in there. When people know that you're consistent, every day they will be able to find something, that is how you start getting more customers coming. Because that is how you branded yourself. Lakini kama wewe unafunguanga kaduka leo, kesho umetoka huko, you are whatever. So what are you doing? And then do you have a program? Do you have a consistent program on how people can be able to get to what you're doing? This can be where you're working. This can be where your own spaces. Do you have a program on how you're doing those things? Now, what do you need while you're doing the branding? I want just to finish because I said we want just to touch on a few things. Number one, there is what we call authentic. How do you pronounce this? What? Being original. How do we pronounce that one? one of the key things I've discovered, wewe watu watakukubali vile ulivyo. Do your thing. One of the biggest challenges I've seen, sometimes you want to do something like Freddie Machoka, you want to do something like Kevin Ombori, you want to do something, people will appreciate you the way you are. If you are writing, if you are telling stories, kuna hii kitu sio imetoka wapi. Mtu akimaliza story yake anasema na kila mtu anafanya hivyo. Kuna wale watu wakimaliza story wanafanya na njoya wewe Maura. So what am I saying? When we talk about branding, let me tell you, one of the things I've discovered, hii miaka nimekuwa kidogo, Fred, I think Machoka can be able to tell us. One of the things I've discovered, wewe fanya line yako. Just do your own. People will appreciate the way. Wewe fanya tu. Be passionate. Find your own way of doing your thing. Find your own way of doing your thing. This thing of, I want to do like so and so, I always find people, mimi naweza kuwa comedian, naweza fanya kama fulani, yeye aende wapi na ako, acha kufa. Sasa unaniambia naweza fanya kama Sorobi amekufa, I'm just there. Find your own way of doing whatever that you want. And then this thing, unania anafanyanga stories zinako hivi na wewe unataka kufanya zenye zinakaa kama zake. By the way, there is a lot. Watu wanataka content. There is a lot. There are many things that you can be able to do. There are many stories you can be able to do. Work on them, be consistent, tell your story in your own way. And believe you me, with time, people will be able to start following. You will be able to have followers. But sometimes I always say, when you talk about followers, inakaa kama ni washirika, watu tu wanakufuata tu. I remember I used to wake up early in the morning when we used to have Sayari. 3 a.m. to listen to one person used to do a program in Sayari. Nilikuwa naamkanga 3. And nilikuwa tu naamka because I loved that person, the way he used to do the program. Nilikuwa naamkanga 3, I listened 3 to 4. I remember kama kuna watu wanakumbuka Harrison. I used to wake up. So watu wakijua mtu ako na kitu watakufuata. It's like watu wakienda ukisikia nani anakonga huyo alikuwa anapatia kikombe huko Tanzania. Watu wanaenda. Funny enough, that is one thing I've discovered with the audience. Watu wakiona, when they listen to you, there is something, when they read your articles, when they watch your content, they will always come. They will always follow you. So, I want just to finish with this one, that find a way of telling your stories in your own way. Whether you are doing a story, whether you're doing a show, whether you are doing the writing, find a way of doing your own thing, the way people will appreciate you the way you are. And then, even as I finish on this, because I may not be able to talk much, let me say this. One of the things I've discovered for the few years I've been in the media, ukiamua kufanya kitu, if you are writing, if you are doing a presentation, if you are doing a story, I'm inspired by this scripture which says, whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. For in the grave where you are heading, there is neither wisdom, knowledge. So anytime that you have an opportunity, you have a show. Anytime you have an opportunity, those of you who are teaching, you are doing whatever. I was reading something, and there was a certain guy who died from Zimbabwe, and then the way they had written on his grave, the way people understood him, and the way he used to do his work and whatever. Because there are many people who listen, who watch, who listen to you, or who read your articles, who watch what you do. So when you are working, that's what you call, give it with a lot of excellence. You never know. Let me just finish by giving an example of this. I remember one time I was invited, even as I finish, Isabella, you should be preparing to. I remember one time I was invited to MC a wedding. By the way, Fred Majoka, there is one wedding in Ilipewa because you listen of Fanyangi weddings. And let me tell you, I was so excited. There was you might not be able to know this guy. There's a guy who was a treasurer, I think it should be around 14, 15 years ago. There's a guy who was a treasury manager at Equity, and they had called you, and then Okwambia, you no longer nowadays do weddings. And wakaniita, and I remember waliniita to hapo Kenyatta Avenue, not Kenyatta Avenue, the other end, where we have Wabera Street, where we have karibu na Prestige bookshop around that place. And then they called me. I didn't even know how much to quote. Wakaniambia, we had invited Fred, but Fred amekataa. Amesema no longer does this, so we have settled on you. And I didn't know how much to quote. And I remember the lady was walking, I think, Nairobi Hospital, and I don't know that's how much you'll be able to charge us, but we want just to give you a down payment of 20,000. Ilisikia nipewa OCBD kwenda nyumbani. 20 nikapewa tu hapo cash. Ewa niambia tunakupea down payment and then the others will be able to give you children there. Now when I went to MC the wedding, and I decided to give it the best. Since that day I discovered you never know who is in the audience, who is reading your articles, who's watching. Let me just finish up with this one. One time I was emceeing a wedding at Kari. And then I remember I emceed this wedding. There's a lady, I think the family was in UK, something like that. I can't remember very well, the gentleman. But I did my best. Unajua kuna ile unaenda tumelipo. Kuna ingine hata unaenda unangangana hata they are not paying, but I gave it the best. Though sometimes when I look at some of the things I used to do now, I wonder how these people survive. Because kuna vitu zingine naonanga ujinga. John Maxwell says if you can be able to tell that yesterday you did a lot of nonsense, then you're growing. Lakini kama vitu ulifanya 20 years ago and still unaona they are the best, then maybe probably you're not growing. Or something like that. But I remember doing this wedding and then nikamaliza, I gave it the best. And then I left. And then after some time, I was doing a few things here and there. And then one time I got a call. Wakaniambia, we want somebody who's going to do something for us in Mombasa. And then wakaniambia, we saw you in so and so. And to be very honest, your wedding, I think they paid me, should be around 30,000. But out of this, because I did it with a lot of passion, I gave it the best. They told me, we are having something, in fact, they're having an event, they were doing an event at Voyage in Mombasa. So you can imagine, Voyage iko happy, in Mombasa, it's the kind of hotel and whatever, and then they told me, we want you to be there. And the amount of money that I quoted, waliniambia, we don't pay at this rate. It's like they had to give me 3 times the amount of money. So what am I saying? Sometimes, when you are given an opportunity, you do not know who is reading your articles, who is watching whatever that you are doing, who is listening to you, whatever that you are doing, whatever content you are creating. Make sure that you give it the best because you never know where the next customer will be coming from. So kuna ile watu unasema wacha tu tufanye hivyo after all kunalipwa ngapi. Remember this, the way you are branding yourself, you never know. Sometimes you go to, on Sunday I was emceeing another wedding, the couple, they were in US. Ilikuwa somewhere in what's the name of this place? On your way next to St. Paul's University in Rimuru. And then, najua kuna ile una sweat because you want to make sure you give excellence. So that people don't know those are your standards. Kuna vitu zingine mtu anakuambia na baby, you do not give, if I don't come with my sound system, I'm not coming because the way I'm coming to brand myself, watu tunasema huyu MC alituharibia alikuwa anafanya whatever. So sometimes be passionate, be prepared, and then give it the best. Because you never know, because those are your customers. And from them, they will be able to do more referrals for you. Thank you so much. Let me stop there. Madam Isabel. Oh, you want to clap for me? Hiya, boss, give me a bike. Thank you. Madam Isabel. Aicha ingia? Hiya, boss. Give me a bike. Thank you. We want just to do very brief ones so that we can be able to have an open forum.
Good afternoon.
I want to give you this.
Oh. Hiya, good afternoon. Sasa I've lowered my voice because I have something in my hand. I know there are some of us who are listening with their eyes shut. I'm a teacher and I know what happens after lunch. How many are not hearing me? How many are listening with their eyes shut? Okay. I'm going to take exactly 5 minutes. Where is the timekeeper? Uniambie. Wewe si timekeeper, hata kujiweka. Ni huyu. So, my topic has been, at least 3/4 has been talked about. I'm supposed to talk about mentorship and training. By the way, I am a trainer myself. I work with Kenya Institute of Mass Communication. I've trained some of you, partly maybe in postgraduate and the diploma level. And when the chair invited me to come and talk on mentorship and training, I wrote him on WhatsApp, nikamwambia, will I be able to speak in English? because aliniambia ni Gusii Scribes. So mimi nilikuwa najua nitakuja kuongea Kikisii. Na hiyo ningejitafuna ulimi mpaka kesho. So akaniambia hapana, relax. You can either use English or Kiswahili. So I was comfortable. Nikaingia library, I did quite some good research on the topic. But now I'm not able to present the whole topic. We are going to pick necessary points for 5 minutes and I sit down. Now, when we talk about mentorship, I have skewed it towards us, the media people, who are in offices and you need to mentor somebody before you leave. If you are working in your own organization or you are employed and you have people who are answerable to you, for example, how are you going to handle these people? How are you going to impart skills in them? How are you going to impart experience in them that is going to leave positive side of you in the organization? Some of us, wacha niwaambie wale wenye mmekaa sana kwa media, ambao ni mabosses, like my brother Machoka. Ask yourself, when you quit, what are the comments that people are going to talk about you? An example, a boss somewhere, musiende kuniquote mahali. My boss retired, and everybody was like, good riddance. Tafadhali, we, nani huyo? Unataka nimwage unga? Watu walikuwa wanasema good riddance. Why? All the staff, including the students. Because you were not what you were expected to be. Maybe you were too harsh. Maybe you were too unkind. Maybe some boss somewhere, mama mjamzito, akaenda kumwambia sasa siku zangu zimefika, nataka kwenda kujifungua. Akamwambia, it is not this organization that made you pregnant. Get out of my office. Mama akaweka mikono hivi akapiga nduru mpaka kwa CEO. CEO akamuuliza ni nini? Imagine what this man is telling me. Ni nini? Mama anatingika mpaka CEO anaona ni kama mtoto atatoka. Akamwambia, ameniambia it is not the organization that made me pregnant. CEO akakuwa mpole akamwambia, hiyo tu, what you want? Nataka kwenda kujifungua. Akachukua karatasi akamwandikia kama please go. Na apart from the 3 months, unaweza ukajiongeza masiku. Huyo mama alienda akishukuru. Lakini huyo mwenye alimwambia, it is not the organization that made you pregnant, I'm sure the relationship was never the same. So as a boss, as a mentor, what do you leave behind? It is like if I asked you, when you climb a tree, which part of you is exposed to people under the tree? Huh? Which part? Wanaume nyinyi pengine hata hamtashtuka, na wamama na maskats na dresses, utaogopa kuexpose the behind. Si ndio? Hello, kwani mmelala? Utaogopa kuexpose some part of you. Ndio hivyo vile tuko kwa organizations. When you are mentoring, don't expose somebody's weakness. If I am doing a story and the lead is wanting, haiko nzuri sana, correct me. Niambie hapa, you could have done it like this and not like this. Nitakuheshimu kama boss wangu. Lakini nikileta alafu unararua unarusha kwa dustbin, unasema rubbish. Ukienda nitapiga magoti niambie Mungu good riddance. So you as senior people in the organizations, people who have been in the organization for a while, ask yourselves what you leave behind. Who have you mentored to take the mantle after you? Hata kama hata pewa, wewe utakuwa umeenda na utakuwa ile tunasema tenda wema nenda zako. So I had done a lot of writing, but I will skip so that I'm within the 5 minutes. How do you mentor somebody? Mentoring skills. Number 1, listen actively. I've not said listen attentively. Listen actively. What does that mean? Pengine mimi na Sorobi tunafanya kazi pamoja and I am mentoring Sorobi. Nikimwambia kitu, Sorobi anatakikana kuwa ana respond actively. Nikimwambia hii lead ungeandika namna hii, Sorobi anatakana kusema ndio. Ndio, nimesikia. Na yeye akiniuliza swali, mbona nifanye hii na si hivi? I'm not supposed to tell him, shut up. I'm supposed to listen actively, respond to whatever he is asking, so that he gets to understand. So, people who are bosses here, people who are working in offices, please listen actively. Number 2, build trust. How do you build trust? Believe that whatever, let me say, activity you give me to do, I am going to do it positively, and I'm going to do it to my best level. Lakini ukinipatia ukiwa na tashwishi, then I may not do it well. Allow me, have trust, have faith that at least I am going to do it well. And when you believe that I'm going to do it well, then you will know that the skills you've imparted in me are working. Then another one, determining goals and building capacity. Give this person the goals. You know, most of us tuliemployiwa because we wanted jobs. Si ni kweli? Nani hakuemployiwa because alikuwa anataka pesa? Wote tuliemployiwa because we wanted money. So, make me understand the work I am doing and help me build my goal. If I want to be the best journalist of that particular year, help me. Mtoto akianza kutembea, unaanza kumpigia makofi. I remember when my son alitembea, hiyo usiku hatu kulala. Mpaka kitu saa 7. Unamwambia daddy come. Anafanya hivi anaanguka. But you keep on encouraging that boy to move on. Ndio vile tuko. Nobody is perfect. Our employers, please, none of us is perfect. So what do we do? When you are having some weakness, let your boss understand that this weakness is not forever. Maybe in class si kukufunza how to go about it. So yeye mwenyewe achukue hiyo jukumu, akufunze, akuambia this is how we do this. Don't expect people to be perfect. Then kuna hii, the last one, encouraging and making a follow-up. You are my boss, tumefanya kazi na wewe, sasa pengine unataka kutoka. Usiretire tu uende unyamaze. Try to find out, hao watu niliacha nyuma, wanaendelea aje? Hao watu nilitrain, wanaendelea aje? So, be determined to make a follow-up. Then I go to training. Nasikia vile tumepokiwa halls, training institutions. But I thank God, KMC was not one of them. Because we train the best. Nani anaweza sema hiyo ni uongo? Nani anaweza sema KMC atu train? Kuna hizi institutions zenye zinaanza, you know, they are coming up, they don't sometimes even have a curriculum. Some of us are even called, kuja utusaidie kutengeneza curriculum. Na sasa hii amefunza watu, hata wamegraduate. What did they do if there was no curriculum? So unapata watoto kama hao, when they come even to KBC, my brother talked about it, you get that they don't know what they are doing. So what do? Take people, even yourselves, go to institutions that are good, quality institutions. Hizo universities munasema, mimi nimefunza Mount Kenya, nimefunza Karatina University, nimefunza University of Nairobi, part-time of course. And I know what they offer and what they don't offer. Anything to do with journalism, anything to do with media, I think so far so good. Kenya Institute of Mass Communication leads. It leads, bila kudanganya. Si ati ninajipigia drum. Na when you come to KMC, you will discover that watoto wale wanaenda hizo universities, they come for practicals at our place. So what stops you kama hukufanya practicals? Kukuja tu KMC, hata tafuta Sorobi, kuna Madam Lidi hapa, kuna walimu wengine, kuna Nyamwamu ndio huyo. Kuja tuongee. How can we assist you? Wacha kwenda kukua an embarrassment kwa media organization. Unapata unachekelewa. Mimi nikienda kusupervise wanafunzi wetu huwa wanakuwa on attachment. Some bosses tell us, do you teach English? Naambia yes. We teach English for communicators. Na mbona pronunciation ni shida? Namwambia now we have to zero in on the particular student. So tuna discover it is actually mother tongue. You know, with the mother tongue, it is not so easy for even a teacher to remove that problem from you. But we can try. Tuta panel beat kidogo na utaanza kupronounce the way you are supposed to pronounce. Usiongea alafu mtu anasema immediately, huyu ni Mmeru. Ukiongea anasema, huyu ni Mkisii. Huyu ni Mjaluo. Journalists, we have to be good in pronunciation. Hiyo tupende tusipende, lazima tujaribu. So come. Hiyo ni mnafanyanga ni auditioning ama sijui mnafanyanga nini to do with the language. Unajua mimi niko section nyingine, kina Sorobi wako section nyingine. Yes. Voice testing, hizo zote. Utakuja huko tutakusaidia. We will try to shape you in pronunciation. Kama ni acting, drama tuko nayo, you know, whatever it is, we have it all. Unless we mwenyewe ukatae kushika. So in training, as an institution, mimi sitasema institution nyingine, hakuna yenye ninajua nitapigia drum, ni yetu nitapigia drum. Kuja. Na usiseme ati una pesa. Usiseme ati you cannot afford school fees. School fees yetu is very friendly. At least you pay half, then hiyo nyingine utalipa mpaka siku ile utafanya exams. Nimetoka kwa yetu hiyo training yetu. Now, when you are training, make sure that you get quality education. Then make sure that as a journalist, you become blended with the society. Because you are going to serve the society. You're going to give the information. Sasa usiende shule ukisema, mimi siwezi fanya huko Kisii kazi. Ona Crispin. Crispin si anaongea kutoka Kisii. Hello? Crispin? Yes. Wewe ni Mkisii? But you are working in Kisii. He's not announcing, he's not reporting in Kisii. But he has blended so well. You as a journalist, make sure you blend well with the society. Because we as the society need you. We need you to work for us, give us the information, translate the information. Kama siku ingine nilikuwa nasikiza budget, nikapata journalist mmoja, nikamuuliza, nikajifanya hata mimi sijui anything to do with the media, nikamuuliza, na leo wamesema nini imeongezeka? Mimi hata sijui. Hiyo wanaongea ati GDP, sijui nini. Nikamwangalia nikasema sasa huyu ni journalist. Na anafanya one of the media houses. Sitaji jina because atanikata shingo. Haya. Improve your skills, improve your reporting skills, and make sure that whatever that you are talking is positive. It is going to improve where you work and where you are reporting for. Then make sure that when you are learning, you influence the society. You can change the society. You can change the place or the environment where you are working or reporting for. Then the last bit, benefits of mentoring. What are the benefits of mentoring? Number one, it improves personal and career development. When we mentor a person, it improves his career and personal development. I am going to not change you from being just a scribe, but I'm going to improve. Maybe I will introduce something to do with camera work. You will have an added advantage. Then number 2, mentoring improves productivity. It improves productivity. Usiniweke tu kwa kazi yako and then you expect results. Mentor me, nishikilie mkono uniambie, this is how we go about it, and then you will of course get the results. But if you do not mentor me, then I will be doing exactly what I learned in school without any additional thing in the field. Then mentorship builds diversity. That is exactly what I've said, that apart from these skills, unaongezea hizi zingine. So it builds diversity. Then it allows for reverse mentorship. Mentorship is not only one-sided, it is two-way. I will mentor my student and he will mentor me. There are certain things that as a teacher you may know, you are not a know-it-all. Ni kweli? Hello? Wamama, mko wapi? Any wamama in this, unajua mna bakingi ati I'm still a slave queen. Wamama mko wapi? Okay, wababa mko wapi? Ati wababa ni wengi kuliko wamama. Ni nini mnadanganya? Tusidanganyane. When you are mentoring your daughter, how do you go about it? How do you go about it? So Robbie, how do you mentor your son if you have a son?
You show and then you work with them. So there's that bit of showing and then there's that bit of working together.
Thank you. You show and you work with them. Wacha kuambia msichana ati wacha kuvaa miniskirt, wewe mwenyewe unavaa miniskirt. Si ati kuvaa miniskirt ni mbaya. Inategemea unaenda wapi. Si ni kweli? Na unaenda kufanya nini? Si ni kweli? Sasa we train our students and our members of staff who are probably junior to us kama wamama, usivae inaitwaje tumbo kata ama inaitwa nini? Ile ukiinama unamwaga zote. Si hapa we are journalists, we speak it all, isn't it? Kuna siri hapa. Unaenda ku search for information kama parliament, you are interviewing mtu musinia. Alafu unamuinamia hivi, hizi zote zinamwagika. Honestly, what do you expect from him? Si atakwambia ndio uningoje hiyo hoteli number 5. Room number 5, si ndio? Because that is what you have indicated. That is what you have shown him you want. Si ndio? Wavulana tunaenda kutafuta news na umesag huku nyuma, unataka tuone nini? There is a student of mine who used to sag, Msomali hivi. So, mimi nikimpata amesag, uzuri wake alikuwa anavaa nyingi sana ndani. Alafu hii ya nje sasa ndio huku chini. Mimi nilikuwa nashika na buruta kwa class. Mpaka akaambia wengine, mkiona Madam Nyamwamu mnafanya nini? Mnanisignal. Na akaanza kuvaa vizuri. When you dress like that, unataka tuone nini? Si basi utoe yote tuone. Si ni kweli? So mentor these people. Nisikue mimi ndio ninakuambia usivae tumbo cut and I'm the one who is putting on tumbo cut. Do, wanasema kwa Bible, do as I say, but don't do as I do. Iko kwa? Mimi nakusikizanga wewe ukiongea. But then I listen to his egesa sana. Na ninaelewa vitu nyingi sana zenye anasema. By the way, kama hakuna kama hiyo lakini kuna mahali nilisoma basi. Do as I say, not as I do. Haya, another one is that it supports learning activities. When you mentor, ina support learning activities. So, you cannot mentor me na nikue tu kurutu. It will open up my mind and I will keep on doing what? Learning and improving every day. I beg to stop there, but I wish to thank the chairman, sijui alienda wapi. and Mr. Sorobi. Me, I was not in the group, in the welfare group. He's the one who invited us, and we joined, na tunaona ni kama tunaelekea pazuri. I really thank you so much. And journalists, wacha tusipigwe matope ati Mukisii anaongea Kikisii, Kizungu. Let's try Kiswahili, Kizungu. Kwani hao Wakikuyu wanatushindia nini? Hakuna. Let's try. Let's make ourselves actually attractive so that mtu anakuletea mtoto anajua huu mtoto haendi kuongea Kikisii, Kizungu, anaenda kuongea Kizungu. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you. Can we kindly give her one mic as I get the microphone? Kevin, you can give me the microphone. Okay. Can we give her one nice mic? And then, thank you. Now, next, I understand we have a lot, but I want us just to be very strict with the timing. Ken Bosire, kindly, he can be able to take us through beyond the traditional newsroom, and then Rogers, and then now we're going to discuss other things. And then I'm told we have other visitors who are coming in. So you have, can I give you 7 minutes? 8 minutes. 4 minutes and 4 minutes. Where's the timekeeper?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yeah, on the other hand, yeah, that will shake off a bit of sleep. Like you heard, my name is Ken Bosire. I've worked with many guys here. Madam, you've spoken very well. And there's something that when you choose to be a broadcaster, just be a broadcaster. Don't be something next to a broadcaster. So if you want to say a word, say it the way it is. And for those who are now in a digital era, we used to have language labs for phonology, for phonetics. Take time. They are now available on the internet. They are online. You can teach yourself phonetics, pronunciation of words, and all other things. But if you don't have that time, look at your phone. Take your phone. When you take the meaning, the new phone these days has what we call the meaning plus the pronunciation. With Twitter, you know that? You tap at that blue thing where there is a speaker, and it will teach you how to pronounce certain words. So go into a private room and teach yourself how to do it. It's irritating. You just mentioned something about role modeling and apemanship or womanship. You want to sound like Hassan Juma. Eh? It's irritating. It's tragic to try to be somebody else. Carve your own niche and do what you must do. When will people start talking like Ngwenyi? They need to begin to do that. So mine, I've got 8 minutes, and I'm going to split I'll take 4 minutes, and my colleague, Patrick Mwangi, will very quickly talk about, he's been out of the newsroom for 17 years, and he has survived. 17 years, and he got out of the newsroom before he got into 30 years. We were engaged in union activities and he was sacked. But 17 years, he has survived, and he's not died. Patrick, let's give him a clap. So, mine is going to be beyond the newsroom. I picked 1 or 2 things from the MCK speakers. We said in the morning that a journalist is born and goes to school to train. Something to think about. It talks about passion, what drives you to be in a certain field. You don't find yourself there by accident. There are too many accidents in the news in the industry, in the journalism. Don't be part of that accident. And if you're that accident, then you will not perform. So I'm going to look at beyond the newsroom. We are used to the traditional newsroom where there was the reporter, there was somebody else. Everything was so centralized. It was made for the machine age. But now we are in a place where we have had to deconstruct our spaces, our thinking, our attitudes, and realign ourselves to something very infinite. As a journalist, you've got to get out and what is it that I have to find here? How do you find it? You can only find it if you give yourself the opportunity to look at the bigger picture. If you look at your feet, you won't know how far that goes. You must do what we call a 360 scan. their technology has enabled you to do the turns that you would not do in the old ages. When I started working as a sub, we used to do physical subbing, rulers and pens and marking and glue sticks and dictionaries. But now, a headline had to do a count. I knew if it's E, it is how many characters, because it was specified. But now I don't have to do that. I can can it, I can use everything else. I can go to the internet and find a synonym. Those days we had to thumb through the dictionaries to find, there's something we used to call the thesaurus. How many of you have seen it? The physical one, not, yeah. Yeah, Mutwata, you remember, I just want to mention that I interviewed him when we first got him in the newsroom. I was in the interviewing panel and he impressed us because he knew what he was doing. So the thesaurus was important. You used to carry those, and then a ruler to the newsroom. Because if you are given 10 centimeters to do our story, it must be 10 centimeters. Nobody's going to accept spilling. But now that we don't do it, life has become easier. Those of us who are still very traditional think those who do it through technology don't know what they're doing. And this is the condemnation I was talking about in the morning. Do not condemn other people. Embrace them and tell them, we used to do it, also change that you're able to do these things. 2, if you're going to get into the space of the new newsroom, the virtual newsroom, which is infinite, there are 4 things that you have to look at. Who, everybody has talked about, who is your customer? Who do you want to target? If you decide to do features, what kind of features are you going to do? If you want to do documentaries, you're going to do it. You know who you are targeting. So you're going into an area when you are specific. Then you make those choices. Second is to make a choice. Even in that area that you've chosen, there has to be a choice. I'm going to do this, autobiographies, biographies, shadow writing, and all those things. Then you have to accept that you have to have a malleable attitude and mind that is able to change. Don't be rigid. Become rigid, you break. So accept, change, technology comes. There is one editor, Patrick, you remember him, was called Ochieng Angela. You remember, Madam? Ochieng Angela, sports editor standard. When we brought computers for the first time into the newsroom, he went to the HR and said, you've brought something that will kill me. HR asked, what is it that will kill you? Those things that will be before my screen, I'm used to the typewriter because when I bang, I can feel the letters and the sentences in my head. Now these things that I'm just touching and words are appearing. Ochieng Angela asked for early retirement on account of computerization. And he went home. Today there are people who are doing what we call mobile journalism. They can't. They say, if you're going to give me a chance, you are told, go with your mobile, you do a multimedia story. They will run away and say, I would rather not do that story. So change is important. And then where you are, be the master. Something called journalism is about being a master of all, and a jack of all trades and a master of all. But you have to do what we call today niche journalism. When I look at Mutwata, I see sports. Even if you're doing investment, I see nothing in you except sports. Yeah? When I look at Patrick Mwangi, I see business writing. When I look at George Kebaso, I know he's going to write about science. When I look at entertainment, nobody beats Fred, Uncle Fred. From the days where little boys used to listen to Sanyo Tops, that was a mass listen program on Sunday morning. Sanyo Tops, the blackest man in black Africa. That was inspiring. That's how you specialize. And as people from our group, we need to do ourselves. Then what opportunities exist in this new paradigm that we are talking about, the old bubble? When I went to the newsroom, there would be a subs desk on that side, locked in a room. There's a reporter's place. There is the MD's place, there's ME's place, and the managing director sat in an exclusive office with about 5 secretaries. But today, the newsroom, the latter newsroom came, it was an open room, like the banks now. Now we don't have to sit in those rooms. And when COVID came, it taught us that you don't have to sit in the newsroom, you don't have to have a desk. We were all sent home to begin working, and yet we continued producing. And those are the changes. So what opportunities exist? I'm just going to mention very quickly. And it's a conversation because it's a provocation. What opportunities exist in this, what we call digital world, a world that has been disrupted by what we call celebrity journalism? What you talked about, Mom. People come because they want to catwalk around the screen without content. People want to go and earn money. That's why you want to leave Umoja to go and live in Karen. We were very comfortable living in Umoja and Eastlands. Very few journalists lived east of Uhuru Highway. But these days, I find many of them in clubs. Mtuata me, I never went to a club. My club was somewhere in Umoja, Egesa East Villa. But these days, I hear their current country club. I still don't go to those places because I was not socialized to go to those places. So what do you have in these areas? Creation of virtual newsroom will need that you create content that is specific. You can start websites. You can do YouTubes. You can do YouTube channels. You can have your own channel. You don't need all those. You can be everything that was the old newsroom by creating those YouTube channels. You can have podcasts. You can create what we call, like as a group for us here, we can create what we call specific think tanks, which people are going to do features of this nature. Historical documentation in Gusii, for example. I mentioned in the morning to some people that there was a guy called Oteño. How many have heard of that man? How many know that his skull still remains in the museums of the UK? How many know that? His skull is still in the UK. Who has written that story? The Nandis asked for Koitalel Samoei's skull to be brought. Are we going to be the people to do that story that is relevant to us? It talks about resistance to colonialism. Did you know that his victim, Northcote, remains lie at Gusii Sports Club? Did you know that? You know, what's the story been done? How many of you have done it? Who is that? But even Northcote is there. It's an unmarked grave. It's an unmarked grave. Go into the archives and find this information. You can create as groups. You say, these guys are good in features. These guys are good in sport news. These ones are good in just documentation. How many know Sakawa? You've heard of Sakawa Primary School. What? Who was he? That's what we need. Those are opportunities that we can segment ourselves here and begin. Mwalim is here, Mwalim is there. And let's work through these things and make money out of them. We can also do what we call help the Gusii culture, that group, I don't know whether they are council of elders or what, to aggregate what is called cultural things. It is your work. You can help them curate the material for them. You can help them document. I wasn't lucky to go through the traditional rites, but there are people, for example, who do not know what it meant to graduate to an adult boy in Gusii, a girl. It's not retrogressive. Document it for posterity. You need to do that. You can also talk about other practical lives. Creation of biographies. Chairman is already doing a lot of work in that. For example, in Gusii, we have had outstanding leaders. How many have done a book about Dr. Nyonka? How many have done about Dr. Sagini? How many have done about Morara, the firebrand? How many have done about Nyamwea? Those are opportunities that are beckoning, and yet we have this mentality that journalism does not pay. It doesn't pay when you have a poor mentality and you fail to deconstruct your attitude and see the bigger pictures. So you can do what we call media training, what people did, media training, what Madam has just talked about, media training and mentorship. Those of us can get teams to come and work with people on the ground on media training and mentorship initiatives. All these things are what you need to look at. And open up your thinking and reach out. Do networking. Chairman, I would like to suggest that the next thing that we could do as going forward is to do a random thing about what are our strengths. And around those strengths, we can create groups and begin to produce common content that can be good for the group. You earn as an individual. Universities abroad do what we call patenting, partnerships. You do the research. As a researcher, you get the money, some percentage. The institution gets money, and the money that you are shared capital. If Fred is going to document, Fred Mzee, Uncle Fred Obachi Machoka. You know, there's a man who comes from my village called Christopher Monyoncho. And I think he's the only, I may be corrected, but he's the only legendary musician in Gusii. How many, Fred, if we did an archive and did his music, because it was educative, we say under the umbrella of the welfare, can we get royalties from it, give to the family, give to ourselves, and create that content that we can make reference. A lot of Gusii music is now apemanship. They want to do Kanungo, they want to do Kikambawan, so you can never find out that this is, I can't put my finger on Gusii music. Crispin, I go to my village, all the border riders are using Luo music, and ask them, don't you have any music around here? You go to Gusii town, it's all about Omera Yawa, Omera what? You know, there's something that is lost. There's nothing wrong with the new culture. But you can redirect that shuttle, that ship, and begin to tell people, appreciate this. There's nothing wrong in your diversity of appreciation, but this is good for documentation and good for consumption. With those few remarks, I want to give Patrick, who has done 17 years. When I left the newsroom, I was kicked out of the newsroom by COVID. Because of COVID, I was the managing editor of People Daily. But when COVID came, we were told to take 50% cut. Yes, I could take 50% and survive. But what about the people who are earning 20,000 shillings and they take 50%? My conscience would not allow me to remain and let the people who earn less and could not survive outside. That's why I'm out of a job. George, you know that. I took the liberty to go home because as a leader, I've also taken responsibility about the welfare of the people who stay behind me. And that's why. Patrick, few minutes so that you can finish the other 4 minutes. I think I went over kidogo, but you're right.
Can we kindly appreciate it? Another bike like this, like this, like this, like this, like this.
So I've actually, let me just give you a brief profile. Actually, I've not been out here 17 years, I've been about 20 years. And that I made a decision because I thought these media houses, you know, why can't they were set up by people like myself. I'd been a journalist, and then I went into PR. I worked for UNICEF, then I worked for the privatization agency of the government. Then I decided, you know, these media houses were set up by people like myself. So I stepped out, and I've been out there since. I set up Aquarius Media about 21 years ago. It's still going strong. We have done work in South Sudan, we've done work in Somalia, we've done work in South Africa, we've done work in Uganda, Tanzania. We have clients as far afield as Britain. So you just need to slog, but you must decide that you want to make it work. So there are no easy answers, there are no easy solutions. So I've just summarized what I had done as a presentation so that it's just going to take about 4 or 5 minutes. So I think the first thing I want to say is that what is happening in Kenya, this media turmoil, is part of a global phenomenon. So there is nothing that is happening here that is not happening elsewhere. So we are faced with the same challenges as the rest of the world. It's how you deal with it at the individual level that's going to determine how you, as a person, end up. At this juncture in the history of the media, we all know what's happening in the media. Layoffs have been going on for quite a while, and more are coming. They've actually been announced by several media houses. So at this juncture, I think it is safe to say if you're sitting in the newsroom and you have a job, that job is up in the air. I think that's a safe thing to do. And maybe that is the attitude that right now, if anybody is sitting in the newsroom and having a job, that is the thing they should start thinking about. What if tomorrow I come in and there is a memo? So losing your job, obviously, can be extremely traumatic. And I think it's been talked about how people find themselves in uncharted waters. They are unable to adjust. Some people are never able to overcome the grief. They go into depression for several years. There are people who, from the day they were sacked, for 5, 6 years, they are unable to find their feet completely. And so you see that person is walking dazed for 5, 6 years. So it's very, very important that people be prepared mentally. And then, obviously, you be prepared with what would I do next if tomorrow I don't have a paycheck. And the most important thing is prepare yourself when you're in the newsroom. start preparing yourself when you have an umbrella of an organization, umbrella of a check. Don't be complacent at all. So, couple of things maybe. One, invest. You have heard several stories here about people who started investing very early. So when you have that paycheck, make sure that you pick up some money from your paycheck, invest. Read. Because if there's something that is important, it is knowledge. We are knowledge people. We are a knowledge-based profession. We cannot be failing in the very thing that is our platform, knowledge. Build a home if you can. There is no killer out here when you're not having a paycheck like rent. Absolutely kills you. You had Uncle Fred's story. Build networks. When you're in the newsroom, when you're working in media houses, this is the best place to build networks. Because when you're in the newsroom, you can get into any office. But building those networks is about making sure that you are adding value to those people who you are coming in close with. If you get into a culture of accepting those envelopes that the Victor was talking about here, those people will disdain you and they will never consider you. Tool yourself, buy yourself a laptop, get yourself a good smartphone, buy yourself a camcorder, prepare yourself, keep upgrading your skills, gain new skills, be versatile. Usikae kama panga na upande mmoja, unakata na upande mmoja. Learn how to write proposals and concept papers. Critical when you're out here. Once you talk to somebody and you tell them, I have this idea, I think we can do this. The next thing that person says is, get me a concept paper, give me a proposal. So these are life skills out here. And run away from the alcohol culture. It's deadly. So you're out of the newsroom. A couple of things. Because of trauma, people are unable to think properly. So act sensibly. Cut your expenditure. That alcohol of every Saturday and Sunday, cut it down. You now are depending on yourself to feed your family if you have one, to feed yourself, to parent, you're still paying rent, children are still in school, you're depending on yourself. And there is no paycheck at the end of the month. That comfort is gone. Now, you depend on your wits. What you deliver is what you get paid for. If you don't deliver, you don't get paid. You could actually starve, and that's not a joke. Get a game plan, ask yourself, where do I go from here, and build a game plan on that. Don't join these negative groups whose work is to whine every day because we were fired, we were laid off, so for the next 3-4 years, you're just whining. Avoid that negativity. It's too much. It will kill you off. Then the next thing is, even as traditional media is fading, the media landscape is actually exploding. In Kenya today, you have 64 TV stations, 150 radio stations, there are podcasts, there are news websites. The PR field, the public relations field has exploded. Right now, every other organization almost organizations now have communication budgets as standard, media budgets as standard. So there's a hell of opportunity in PR now. So skill yourself in PR. PR is how do you engage the media? How do you help people get in touch with your stakeholders? How do you write basic things like press releases? Many organizations have no idea, and that is something that you could tune into, and you could actually make quite a good living out of it. But then you yourself need to be skilled in doing these things. So email and internet have crushed costs, making it much easier to set up shop. Previously you had to send letters through the post office, you had to whatever, unapiga ile simu ya kuchukua, sijui kama itasikika. Now, you send a WhatsApp message, you can negotiate an entire project on WhatsApp and email today. And not just with a local client. I don't know how many jobs I have done on the internet with foreign clients. Never met them. We can meet virtually, but we will never meet physically. Deliver, reviewed, processed, and paid. Everything online. So these are the opportunities. So it's not all doom and gloom. Truth is, there are very many successful journalists who passed the newsroom. And obviously, we have a perfect example here, Uncle Fred. Another perfect example I'll give you is a gentleman called Joe Carthy. And those who are in the who are of my generation. Remember, Joe Carthy is a guy who used to write something called, he had a Sunday column which was very, very popular. And then after he left the nation, when they decided they had had enough of him, they had sucked every juice from his whatever, he left and then he recreated himself into a major academic, including starting a school of journalism in USIU. So that man went on to become a top academic in journalism, and well, he's I think late now. But the point here is, it's not all doom and gloom. You can do it, but then you have to have a game plan, and you must follow your game plan to the end. Flip side, there are many who are in dire straits, and I mean dire straits. There are many journalists in this town who are beggars, and I mean that in a literal sense. So what I said, you could starve, or you could get in a very, very bad position. So always have that at the back of your mind. So where do you want to be? Choice is yours. So some ideas. Content creation is huge across many platforms, whether that's TikTok, whether that's, whether that's doing blogs. Content creation is huge. PR opportunities in companies, there are very many. Biographies, now they are becoming a big issue. And shadow writing, helping people write their autobiographies, that's now another growing, very big and growing area. Podcasts, you can be a one-man army in blogs. You know the one-man armies, who have become, whether you want to call them citizen journalists, whether you want to call them people like Robert Alai. And because they've got so many followers, now corporates lock into them to get their 100,000 followers. And they're not earning 2 bob, my friends. They're not earning 2 shillings. Publish, you can help organizations publish, whether it's newsletters, magazines, etc. Help people put together publications, it's another big area. Repertoiring, all these conferences and seminars and workshops. Writing of reports and editing them, all these are areas. Just to give you an overview of it, that the fact is that the communication field is now very huge. Clients are everywhere. See every gathering, even this as an opportunity to pitch and to market yourself. When you're out here, have your contacts ready, have business cards which you can put out, whatever. So finally, dynamics impacting you as you walk out into your other life from the newsroom. Professionalism, absolutely critical. You rise and fall as an independent consultant on your professionalism and how people deem you to be, how professional clients deem you to be. Be ready for the long haul, okay? You might start something that grows in ways that you never thought possible. So be ready to put this work, the hard work. Be adept at social media. This is now the default dissemination tools. Capital is always a challenge when trying to set up shop, so you have to work at it. Payments are always a big issue, so you need to develop multiple income streams to buttress your income. Build and safeguard your reputation very jealously. You have nothing else. And believe you me, Kenya is a very small town. And I say Kenya, not Nairobi. Because if you mess in Nairobi, I assure you, you will not get work in Kisumu. So last word. As journalists, we tend to see ourselves as removed from everyday reality around us. We rarely see ourselves as farmers or shopkeepers or boda owners, etc. We must change this mindset. We are professionals and we are capable of making a success of the hustles other Kenyans are engaging in. So with that, I wish everybody all the luck. Thank you very much.
Just a quick one. So what are you doing? You've been out of the newsroom for 30 years. What are you doing?
I do, right now, I started with the conferences because then people came with a lot of conferences. I did a lot of PR then. And then when I started seeing as if that was becoming a problem, I moved into publishing. So now I publish a lot of magazines, I publish a lot of whatever. I'm also this area of autobiographies. Shadow writing, of helping people write their autobiographies. Now we are very big into that one. Okay. We have also opened a marketing wing where we sell things, especially media products, on behalf of principals, on behalf of other organizations. So that now, those are the 3 areas that we are big in right now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we can appreciate him again. Nice back, one. Thank you. Now, because of time, we are going to cut a few things because we have to discuss now what is the way forward. That is very critical. We've talked about so many things. What is the way forward? And we are sorry that Rochas will not be able to speak to us, Kakasungura, because of time. And Fred had spoken to us. And maybe he can be able to mention something about the way he has branded himself all this time. He's looking young and such. But we did another time with him. Fred, our time is really bad, but you have to finish what he said. But you have to do it in 5 minutes, kindly. 5 minutes, kindly. Maybe you can pick on one thing, do it so that you can be able to say, what is the way forward now?
I truly want someone to time me. Okay. Thank you. First, I'll want to talk about mentorship and coaching. I can mentor you without you doing what I do. I can mentor you to be a journalist like me by you benchmarking on what I do, if you think you like it. But I can also mentor you by you sparing a minute or two to ask for mentorship. In other words, I should not be the person coming to you. If you really want it, you'll come to me. I, Fred Obachi Machoka, my phone is accessible to everybody. Anybody I give my phone number, if you call me, if I'm not in studio, I'll pick that phone and I'll talk to you. If I find a missed call, I'll call back. That is my nature. What I don't do, I don't necessarily agree with the caller. But I will talk to you. So, ukiwa na namba yangu, chukua nipigie. Don't waste my time because I might disconnect. But I'll talk to you. That is my nature. 2, I want you to be original like many of the speakers have said. No one can beat you at being you. Hakuna mtu atakushinda kuwa wewe. Ukicheza kama wewe ni wewe. Anybody else who tries to do stuff like you do will be copying. So do your thing and do it well. If you are in a vernacular station, buneke Gusii abantu abange more journalisti ga Gusii mo report eke Gusii mo korika in eke Gusii, then please read your literature yeke Gusii. Nanyene Bibilia yeke Gusii. Don't spend all your time watching Citizen TV. I said that, yes. If you are working for EGESA, watch other vernacular stations, okay? Then correct and improve EGESA station. That is all I'm saying, yeah? Watch Citizen TV, not for benchmarking, all right? For gathering news. But if you want to be the best in vernacular, you must speak a lot of vernacular. You must read literature that is written in vernacular. Otherwise, utapotea. There is one thing I wanted to very quickly talk about. A guy called me and told me he wanted a job. I said, which job do you want? He said, you know, I'm a journalist. In fact, I want to send you footage of what I've done. I said, what have you done? He said, I can imitate you. I can imitate Waweru Mburu. I can imitate Leonard Mambo Mbotela. I can imitate so and so. So I said, so you think journalism is about imitating people? It doesn't work like that, yeah? So people have gotten into a point, I don't know who started this. People think that if you can imitate Mohamed Juma Njuguna, then you are good football commentator. It doesn't work like that. Listen to Mohammed Juma Njuguna, but be yourself. And then even better than Mohammed Juma Njuguna, and then you might find a job. Just take journalism as a serious career. Talked about Koba Abasabere Limono. Yeah? Please stop it. It's not good for you. It's not good for posterity. It's not good for anybody who wants to be a journalist. You can pretend, because I want to really say you are pretending that you don't have money. But you do have money because you are on a payroll. It's just that we always aspire to have more money like so and so. So we must get to a point where you say, I think what I got is enough. I will want to have more if possible, but I don't have to spend my sleepless nights thinking about earning like so and so. That is how come people come to the office and say, hata mimi nataka kuongezwa mshahara. Unamuuliza kwa nini? Si wale waliongezwa. So I ask, so kama ungelikuwa ni wewe peke yako, haungeliitisha nyongeza? So you could have asked it to be, you know, if you thought kwamba you are worth more, you should be able to demand more payment without necessarily comparing with so and so. Okay? So once you get some money, save a bit of it. It will never be enough. We spend more time on Facebook and Twitter, and that is bundles we are burning, and we think we don't have money. And then you're calling someone, it's flashing. Flashing someone who is a more important person, but spending more money on Facebook, which is not helping you. So I think we must be aware of what we're doing and where to put our money. In terms of being in media, you can stay there for a long time. I've been in media for 46 years now. I held my first microphone in 1975, but 76 properly, and I've been at it till today. My show, Sanyo Ju Sanyo Tops, was the #1 show in 1976. Roga Roga is still one of the top shows today. So simunipigie makofi. The reason is I try to learn a lot from my audience. There are many people who don't say anything, but have a lot to teach your audience. If you care to listen to them, you learn so much from them. They are always ahead, I don't know how come our audience is always ahead, but they are ahead. So don't think because they are keeping quiet and you are talking to them, therefore you talk down to them, or I don't know the best English to put there. Was here good have helped me down, like they don't know nothing. Okay, those people you talk to know so much. So take time to listen to them. They will always give you content for the next show. Okay, and then once you dine or have lunch with the governor, or the governor is calling you, please don't think he's at your level. When you go to Kempinski with the governor, he is spending our money for lunch. Don't take your girlfriend to Kempinski tomorrow spending your salary. Just because she saw you there with the governor. Okay? And when the governor calls you, Crispin, si anajua wewe ndio mtu wa Citizen kusema. Anakuita, munaenda, which is the top hotel in Kisii? Camel Park. Munakaa pale, muko na governor hivi. Boss, ukitoka Citizen tomorrow, the governor will be asking, ni nani alichukua nafasi ya Crispin? Huyu ndiye atapigia nani? Atapigia simu. Yako ukipiga unasikia tu, mteja niliyopigia hapatikani kwa sasa. So remember, the governor is not calling you. He's calling Citizen. He's calling the station you work for. Get it into your head. All right? Tafadhali. So when you are with him, do your best. Do what Citizen wants you to do for them, because those are the ones who will pay you. The governor akikupatia kitu kidogo ni kwamba si wewe, in fact alikuwa anapatia Citizen, lakini kwa sababu wewe ndio uko pale akakupatia. So usiseme governor mimi nikipiga anachukua tu. No, governor Citizen TV ikipiga anachukua, sio wewe. We get used to that. Finally, I just want to say, if this group can form a WhatsApp, you have a WhatsApp group, if we can have, what do we call, Zoom meetings, where you will be in your comfort of your bedroom, so that we can have enough time to discuss, we can assist each other more. Hapa kidogo muda ni mfupi. All right? What I want to leave you with, brothers and sisters, we are enemies of our own selves. We always want to talk negatively about each other. We want to show people that so and so hawezi kitu, wewe ndio unaweza. Tuko na fitina ambayo haina maana. Libero, emoko, you know, things that cannot build us as a community. There is so much to get out of our community, like Bwana Basire said. We need to bring the positives about us. Don't follow politicians from morning to evening just because they seem to be having enough money to. So you have become a PA for politicians. It is nauseating. Every time you're going out to get a story, hata una deviate kutoka mahali ulikuwa unaenda because umesikia governor yuko hapa, sijui MCA yuko hapa, sijui mjumbe fulani yuko hapo, kwa sababu unajua yeye uchota. Don't do that, please. Yeah? Kuna umaskini wa kujitakia. You can do a good story and it will sell more than anything else. Don't always be a slave to politicians. They are very good people, they are our brothers and sisters. Lakini watakuja kutujua vibaya. So carry a story because that story is beneficial to the community, is beneficial to the nation. Zamani, KBC ilikuwa inakuwa na programs kama Mke Nyumbani, wanafundishwa namna mama jikoni, mambo ya mapishi. Tulikuwa, I remember in 1981, a show called the Ugua Pole na Lucozade. I think I used to go to hospital, talk to patients. A good show. We used to do Daktari Awajibu, where people used to learn about their sicknesses and stuff like that. Let's now dig that out, because we are more journalists, both print and electronic. Let's go that direction. What? Mimi naweza kuongea forever. Thank you very much. I am available to talk any day. I will want, kama tutakuwa na Zoom meeting, then I can prepare something ambao pengine naweza kuwaelezea kitu ambacho kitakufanya uishi katika nyanja hii ya fani hii ya utangazaji ama ya wanahabari kwa muda mrefu. Mbuya mono. God bless you.
Thank you. All right, can we give him 2 nice bites like this? Give him 1 nice bite. Another one. Last one. It's okay. Hiro, you have something? Oh. Oh, okay.
Yes. Naingia. Kama kuna malipo uniambie saa hii ni wapi nitume.
Thank you. I want to Joshua. Freddy anasema nataka kuingia kwa welfare, na kama kuna pesa mwambie ni pesa ngapi.
But let me make a declaration
yes.
At this time, because I'm under pressure and I will end up forgetting. The planning committee of this session made an agreement that we make a request to Fred to accept and join, accept and join our welfare. And if he accepts, I'll be very happy to shake his hand on behalf.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Asante.
My pleasure.
Yes. And more cameras are coming. Let's wait for more cameras.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah? Okay, tungoje kamera. Kamera kubwa zifike hapa. So it's this is in recognition of the support that he has given us. Asante sana. Asante. Karibu. Thank you so much. So I think this is done, and our MC can lead us to the next. Way forward to viongozi wamefika. Just 5 minutes.
Okay. Fred, we really appreciate.
We are waiting. We are taking 5 minutes.
What is the way forward? We have friends of the media who are with us. Kuna waheshimiwa wamefika and they are here for a short time. But we want just to agree. So what? Tumesema nini? And you guys are, so what? What are we need to do? Because we are saying we have to be very careful. Tusifanye kazi sana lakini tunakufa ama tunakaa maisha yenyewe. So what are we need to do? So what is the way forward?
Sasa mimi nataka kuwa broadcaster, nataka hiyo kitu. Haya, sawa. I spent all my years as a print journalist, and I was in the media for so many years. 15 years in the newsroom, Nation and Standard. I saw people retire and retire miserably. So ni vizuri tumejipanga, and we need to work together. So this session, I'll take how many minutes?
You can get responses.
Okay. Okay. We are all interested in seeing this welfare surviving and even our kids benefiting from our investment in it. So we could like to have ideas beyond just collecting money for Amabe. How do we move from where we are now to higher grounds? So if we can have like suggestions, if someone suggests something that is also burning you, say that's okay. So we support and move to the next. So in my life before I became a journalist, I was a high school teacher, and I liked starting from back benches. Unajua walikuwa napenda kulala, especially afternoon lessons. So uko nyuma, give suggestions on where you could like this welfare to be in 3 years, in 5 years, in 10 years, and even 20 years. It has to exist beyond us, you know. Yeah. Nitakuita lakini nataka backbenchers.
And quickly, if you don't have a point, it's okay. If you have, because already
Please.
we've heard what people are doing in other places. So if in any case you have an idea which came in your mind, quickly, we want just to pick it. Yes, there's Kenani. Kenani, just come. Yes.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
I would suggest that, my view, that we divide into smaller groups, and those groups are tasked to come up with proposals on where we can invest. Yeah, those business plans.
Okay.
Then we can see them. Later on, we can agree.
Right.
Yeah, that's my view.
Okay, your suggestion is that we do this later.
No.
Now.
We have started, but
Yes.
we form small groups, and then from there we come up with ideas, And then from there, we'll be able to have another forum for this.
So that those groups are different timelines.
Yes.
Are we allowing maybe 2 months or 1 month? Then the ideas come.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kenan. Okay, you then Atambo.
Before we go, all right, I agree with Miroka, but we cannot agree on something to work on if we don't agree. Everything involves a lot. So we will start to agree on how much we are going to contribute. If it is monthly, weekly, so that
Okay, can we
have
say-
something where to step on.
Can we say your suggestion
My suggestion
is we contribute, we come up with a figure.
To contribute.
We contribute monthly.
Yes.
Instead of us sitting and waiting also and so as lost. Of
Yes.
course, that's noble.
Yeah.
But then monthly, can we be giving a certain amount? And can you suggest, because we want concrete steps on how to move forward?
I don't know.
1,500.
Maybe what
Your
we can
suggestion.
do, what we can do, Madam Komboka, it's
Yeah.
okay. Let people just give their ideas,
Yes.
and then we have to have a
To agree.
strategy team to sit down, and then from there now we do like the way we did the welfare. They went down and then they sat and then they did the presentation. So that is one idea that we have to think about. How do we increase our income? Yes, Intabo? Yes. Yeah, yes. Vincent is doing that. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Unajua kuna kitu mbaya kama mwenzako amekutangulia kusema kile ambacho kwa unataka kusema. So what I say is we start by building a financial muscle by doing a monthly contribution, and we set a minimum, then the maximum is open, which at the future will be translated to your shares. We have a minimum, then the maximum is open. So that if per month I want to give 10,000, but we have set our minimum to be 5,000, that's fine. If chairman wants to give 100K per month, he's building shares for the future. Okay. So my proposal is we start by building a financial muscle, Kitty, through a monthly contribution with a set minimum fee.
Okay, it's my wish that we decide here, we propose, if it's 500 bob or 1,000, then we can fine tune that later in our WhatsApp group. 1,000? 500? 1,000? Atambo?
I'll propose 2,000.
2,000, okay. Ulikuwa na moja behind you. Najua mimi nataka backbench. Okay, yeah, yes. Ebu, let's listen to each other, please.
Kitu cha kwanza tujue ile miradi ambayo tunaweza tukaingia. Kwa nini? Hiyo miradi itatupatia ile picha ya kujua hata hizi pesa tukitoa kwa kila mwezi zitakuwa ni kiasi gani kulingana na ile project ambayo tunataka kuanzisha. Maana tunaweza tukasema kwamba 1,000, lakini project ambayo tunaendea ni zaidi ya hiyo 1,000. So kwangu mimi naunga mkono kwamba tujue ile miradi ambayo tunaweza jihusisha kwanza. Asante.
Okay, kidogo tu uko na example ya mradi hata moja, because we are sharing ideas and this is the right forum.
No.
One, just suggest, hata kununua ndege unaweza sema.
Okay, kwangu mimi yenye ningeweza kusema ni mambo ya ujenzi wa nyumba.
Okay.
Ujenzi wa nyumba.
Wonderful. Thank you. Just fit. Then I'll come this way, please.
All right, I agree with most of you, and especially with what he said, that we have small groups which can now decide on what we want to do, the investments we want to do, then they bring to the larger group. Then people can suggest in the group, give ideas. But for starters, if we start discussing what projects we shall do today at Tutalala hapa kwa Fred, I don't know whether he has boarding, he has rooms. Let's do this for today. Before we leave, let's start with something. Let's give some money. That is easy. Let's agree to 12. Me, I think, to try 1,200. 1,000 inaingia akiba, 200 for benevolent for today.
Okay.
Then now those details, like he said, we can work in small groups and give ideas. That's my take.
Thank you. Let's just have the ideas. Even when we go into groups, we know exactly what we are discussing and agreeing on. Okay, Mukono ulikuwa haya. The one behind you.
Me, I could suggest.
Kindly be saying your name and then
my name is Shem Monderi. I could suggest 500 shillings because income ranges. For now, things are not so. For now, things are not so good for most of us. Why could we start with 500 shillings a month until December, so that in the new year we can increase the figures? Again, I could suggest that we divide it into two. We have benevolent and then we have investment. Benevolent we give during the right time, but for investment it will be done continually.
Thank you. So far, those who are speaking, we have the money contribution, msirudie hiyo. We'll fine tune on the amount and how often. So give different ideas, please. Next. Alikuwa huko, tunakuja mbele, tutakuja. Yeah.
My name is Nyasob Obed. I'm a journalist, but I'm now inclined towards event coverage. For projects, I would like to suggest we form an event coverage company, And I know a majority, if not all of us, cannot go wrong in event coverage. We have these friends of ours, the politicians, the company CEOs, who host events day in, day out. I'm very sure if we have a tent as big as what Wonder Joy has, in every month or in a year, we cannot miss 2-3 events. My second suggestion, we have a good number of freelancers. People are not attached directly to a media house right now. We can have an online newsletter where some of those stories we have, but we don't have somewhere to publish, can be published. And I don't think that needs money. We have experts here who can give us a website, and we can roll out that one almost immediately. And I think I had a lot to say, but I'll say it some other time.
Thank you. That's very nice. Next. Ni hapa, then here. Tutarudi nyuma baadaye.
My name is Rogers.
Okay,
Gichana. I think this issue is very simple. I listened to my brother who was giving a speech about investment.
Ako.
Oh, yes, ako pale. You know, all of us here have different levels of income. I think we have an investment committee. So that is the committee who give the mandate. Enda, kaa chini, discuss. Tuletea maneno. Hapa tukikaa ati everybody tunataka apeane suggestion on what we will invest. We will sit, we know journalists, we will sit here until tomorrow. So tupeane responsibility. Investment committee, kwendeni kando. Mmesikia what we've discussed. Just go give us a project. And then from there, let the minimum be 500 shillings. But the maximum, as you can afford, 10 million, 20, ile unaweza, because it's investment calculated as per the number of shares. Thank you.
Okay, asante.
The investment team is taking the notes. Minimum 500 yengine.
After him.
Okay, thank you. Let me say my name again. I'm Stanley Ongwae. My idea is this first, because I was very keen on Mutwiri's story about their success as an investment company. So first, if you are keen, I asked about what they do when it comes to issues to do with benevolence. He said they have a benevolent fund which they contribute monthly. I don't want to look at it as if we want to incline ourselves the same way they do their things. We also align ourselves in their way. But in some sense, I've borrowed a very good sense that we first think about how we handle this issue of benevolence. Do we start contributing an amount every month, or we continue as we've been doing as need arises? And then the issue with investment, we leave it about the benevolence issue.
Yeah, because we're giving suggestions.
Yes.
And then we'll work on them.
Yes, thank you. My suggestion is, with this issue of benevolence, let's have some minimum amount we contribute every month. And if the investment committee also comes up, let it be like 300, because this is something that happens not so often. that would be around 300 to 500. And then, with the issue of investments, the committee, the investment committee that is in place, may come up with their ideas. And then we incorporate these ideas. We see if we can incorporate these contributions, zikuwe, the benevolence contribution and then the investment contribution, zikuwe amalgamated, and then we come up with one figure. Okay. Thank you.
Asante sana. Kulikuwa na mkono huko nyuma. Okay, please. So we'll have 3 and then we wind up.
Mimi nachukua 30 seconds because I'm repeating what has already been said.
Don't repeat what has been said.
Please, because nilikuwa nataka kusema hivi, because he said this is our money. We are investing. We do not want to limit ourselves to small money. It's like we are investing. And if we want to invest, we have to have the financial muscle. I think if we can tujikaze, kila mtu aingie kwa mfuko, we know we have pesa itoshi, but by December we always have our AGM. Jue kwamba kila mtu within us, we are about 115. Kila mtu asha contribute 10,000 at least, because sisi ni journalists. Somebody said we are journalists, tusionekane watu tumeteseka, so that we have a minimum mtu ame contribute 10,000 by December in our AGM. Number 2, we do not want to leave the things with the investment committee. We are 115. The membership from number 1 to 10, tuseme our number 1 to 10, nyenye fikiria kitu we can invest. We divide ourselves into 10 groups, 10 in groups, so that in 1 month, kila group ikuja na proposal yake, iseme this is what we want to do. Then we adopt what would have come best out of the groups. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll come back to those details later. Please. Let's have suggestions haraka tumalizie.
It looks like we are only talking about investment from end to end. But when I look at what the program entailed here, we talked about mentorship, we talked about etiquette, we talked about professionalism and training opportunities and stuff. And I'm just wondering, was that for just this gathering? Because if it wasn't, then I just think that what we should be doing is falling into groups, but also addressing some of the issues, subjects that we touched here, so that going forward, we can have involvement in mentorship, involvement in training, involvement in personal branding, things that will continue to be discussed over and over so that we can become better than we were when we arrived here this morning, so that we can tomorrow say, from training that Miss Mama Nyamuamu Amenda, yeah, from training that she has offered one of us, we can now walk to Royal Media and tell Mr. Waruru Washira that this girl must be now employed as a reporter on Citizen TV because she's got what it takes and she comes from Gusii land. Something like that, so that we really don't...
Fred, let me just help you why we are doing this.
Yes.
We've been doing other trainings. This is not the first training we've done. We've been doing other trainings even online on Zoom and such.
Okay.
Our focus was...
investment.
We started with a welfare for people.
Oh, okay.
Now we said we need to upgrade to investment.
All right.
So now we are trying to focus
zeroing
on
okay.
So the other things will be able to do that.
Then, sorry, I stand guided.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Yes?
We are getting... you are the second last.
Thank you so much. I think even as I want to concur with what most of my colleagues have said, I'm a benevolent, nadhani tuko sawa. We have been doing well on benevolent. So kile kitu ambacho tulikuwa tufanye ni kufikiria mambo ya investment, and therefore I'm suggesting that we start first of all with contributions and make it like 500 a share. One share is equals to 500 shillings. Vile ambavyo to contribute inategemea vile ambavyo unataka kubuy shares ngapi first, so that we may be able also to weed out those people who may not be interested in this thing in terms of investment. Alafu giving ourselves like 2-3 months tutakuwa we be
somewhere. Do you have
somewhere.
another idea?
Yes.
Contribution kila mtu amesema, and we agreed on that one.
So situpige kura basi, because instead of repeating, because you have the common idea.
That's okay. We are taking ideas. We'll fine tune, maybe in a virtual meeting or later in smaller groups.
Who was the last?
There was someone behind. Yeah.
What?
Oh, there's one more. Yes.
Yeah, I'm also saying, I'm suggesting like this, because every time we start a group like this, there's some people who may want to fail us. We want to come up with very strong, we want to empower a team which could make sure that this welfare is stronger, so that we are not pulled back. Unless we can't come up with a team, a serious disciplinary committee, that we know that when there's a problem coming up, it acts immediately. So that is what I'm saying. We want to have a serious disciplinary committee which may make this group which we have started not fall back. That's what I'm suggesting.
Thank you. Again, okay,
Yeah. I want us to look at the bigger picture. And there's a point Uncle was raising here. You know, the session we are handling right now is supposed to answer the question, what next for this group? We came here so that we broach broadly all the topics that we've broached. Then we ask ourselves, where do we go next? And there's one speaker who said, let's think global, then act local. So let's ask ourselves. He even came here and gave as an illustration the model. How do we transit from just meeting, socializing, then to change matanga? What do we do next? So I want us to move beyond this one topic of investment and say, this welfare here, now, our minds have been opened. To kusonga mbele, let's do this. Let's come up with ideas. Buire here gave a very nice proposal, that we can even do proposals and get funding even from GAF on other. That's a brilliant idea. So we can find ways of fundraising. We can also come up with ideas where we can invest. There are so many ideas, I can tell you, out there. Okay, so let's not limit ourselves to that. And we can, and as Anko said here, we cannot discuss all those ideas today. Yeah. But
we are not discussing them, we are listing them.
Let's just say what, from here, next, tunaenda kufanya hivi in terms of investment. Kutoka hapa, we are going to do this in terms of fundraising.
Yeah. Okay, so he's suggesting more. Mutwiri, wacha nikupatia ya mwisho.
A quick one.
Can I give you the very last one?
Oh, the very last one?
Yeah, because you have gone through what we are trying to do, so you say, okay.
Not this one, down. Let's start a media school. That will get funding. We'll do mentorship, we'll do training. Media school.
Thank you. That is wonderful. You want to, Mutiri, one more minute?
Like you said, think broadly. There are two elements of this investment. There is for the welfare, and there is what we call personal growth. This personal growth is what Fred was talking about. When you personally are trained or empowered, then you'll be able to contribute to the bigger basket, which is the welfare. So they are almost reinforcing, mutually reinforcing. So we must not lose those things. And then I want to suggest that the model that Mutwiri, if you can allow us to use the word borrowing, I don't know what that means. Okay. We can borrow you to incorporate you into a team that will be working on that thing, on a strategy, because we know what we need. They're what we call long-term and low-hanging fruits. Media training, we can monetize training. Yes. Yes, and through proposals. My brother here, Patrick, is very good in doing proposals. We tap into that thing and tell it, we're going to do a podcast. we're going to do training. Give us a proposal that we can use that concept of training or whatever it is to tap money into the organization. I think that is for me what will happen, that once we are clear, it is, for me, the conversation about the minimum or maximum doesn't arise now. Have the ideas first on paper, do a strategy, and then whatever, then you can place the figures, the math around those projects that you want to do. That is for me.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Utwiri, you can take it.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
It's been...
Okay. The mic.
Sorry.
Atasimama hapa.
It's been very engaging. So, now that you've gone to the next step, the first logical step is always to form a company. That is when you do for investment purposes. One thing is that the company, according to the laws of this land, is recognized as an individual. With a company, you can also go for funding, because at least you're going there as a corporation. A company also has got laws that govern it. It has got corporate practices. These ones will avoid you from getting from those situations you're talking about and you're fearing. Maybe someone will do this, maybe somebody will do that. And then the good thing is that the company can also be allowed to trade with other companies. So that should be the first logical step. I hope the investment group will be thinking about how to open the process of registering a company. You can register a PLC, which is between 20 to, is it usually it's 20 to 300 people. So you can actually start with that. Forming a company will also protect your individual interest in that very company. For example, mtu hawezi kukurusha shares. Unajua kama tumekubaliana hapa, and then something happens, mtu tutasema mtu wote hakukuwa kwa hii kitu, ama mnaweza niruka. But if you are part of a company, you are actually listed as a shareholder. So there is no way anyone can ever take that away from you. The second thing, quickly, is once you form a company now, and the strategy groups, you'll always find a situation where there will be so many ideas, but the outlay, the initial capital may be beyond what the group can raise. So never shelve those ideas, just keep them as part of the business growth. And you can have a growth plan of about 3 to 5 years. So for example, if today you can start an event like hiyo tent ama vitu kama hizo, na kuna ya kuanzisha shule can come in 10 years, lakini isitupwe. By that way you'll expand you'll expand the wings of investment, and that is why we said form a holding company, one that can many companies can trade under it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So that brings us to the end of this session, but I could like to suggest to say a few things from what you have said. So apart from building our nest by monthly contributions, we need to do so many other things. I expected one of you to suggest that since Fred is one of us, and see what he has done. Maybe we should come here, it just takes us through, it gives us ideas. We can do something like this as a company in Gusii or wherever. He has done it in Kajiado, he didn't do it in Nairobi or Gusii, so there are opportunities. Another thing I had, even what was unspoken, is that we need to have several people leading tiny committees. For example, proposal writing.